So good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is safe and taking all the precautions in this pandemic situation. I'm Smita Patil, Director at Remax SSPL. Welcome all of you to the very exciting session of India Real Estate 2021, Insights, Analysis and Opportunities. On behalf of Remax family, I welcome all the attendees who have joined us from various parts of the world. Last year, all the paths looked dark but were filled with hope. None of us knew exactly how things are going to be, but the market came out strong and brighter. We are again facing the similar challenges, similar questions, and who other than these industry leaders are better suited to tell the buyers, investors, and real estate industry members on their analysis and thoughts on how the real estate is going to be this year for all of us. We will have the question and answer session. So if you have any kind of question, all the attendees can ask question to our panelists. You can put it into the comment box and we will try to answer as many as we can. So I would like to introduce our esteemed panelist of the webinar today. I welcome Dr. Niranjan Hiranandani. Dr. Hiranandani is known as a co-founder and MD of Hiranandani Group. Currently, he is credited as the National President of National Real Estate Development Council, NARECO, also the immediate past president of one of the oldest trade body, ASOCAM. He is known as the builder extraordinaire and the visionary man behind redesigning the skyline of Mumbai. He has played a leadership role and senior advisory roles in various industry bodies like Maharashtra Chamber of Industry, Indian Merchant Chambers, FICCI, and CREDAI. He is honored with many awards and recognitions from respected institutions. Welcome, Mr. Hiranandani. I would
Thank you.
welcome Dr. Ananta Raghuvanshi, a business leader celebrated in the real estate industry for 3 decades, a TEDx speaker with 42 awards and accolades, having launched over 100 products. Ananta has spearheaded the challenging assignments of Executive Director DLF, Chief Executive IMAR MGF, and the country head India and Nepal as a Senior Director DAMAC. She is an author of 15 publications and winner of 6 personality pageant and crowns. Her current assignment is Senior Executive Director at Experian Developers, 100% FDI real estate developer. She is also a strong advocate of women entrepreneurship and promotes women in the real estate. Welcome, Dr. Ananta.
Thank you, Smita.
Now, Mr. Kalpesh Mehta, very, very warm welcome to you as well. He is the founder of Tribeca Developers, who pioneered the concept of branded development in India by introducing the Trump brand to the Indian market. He has strong background in private equity and domestic and international development. He was previously associated as a vice president at Lehman Brothers Real Estate Private Equity, where he closed some of the largest transactions in the Indian real estate and managed a portfolio of over $400 million in equity. Prior to that, he worked with Carlyle Real Estate Private Equity, New York City, where he invested and managed luxury and residential developments at Manhattan. Over $3 billion and including one of the largest luxury development projects on Manhattan's Upper West Side. I welcome Mr. Kalpesh as well.
Thank you, Smita.
Sriram Mahadevan. Mr. Mahadevan is Managing Director at Shapoorji Pallonji Real Estate Group and responsible for driving business strategy, operations, and profitability across all projects. He has broad experience of 25 years in banking and telecom industry. Mr. Sriram was earlier associated in management positions with Mahindra Life Spaces, Show Walls and Company, Unitech, Tata Docomo, and Reliance Retail. He is a chartered accountant from Institute of Chartered Accountants and a cost accountant from Institute of I have with me Mr. Gaurav Maria, MD and CEO of Remax India and Chairman of Franchisee India Group. He is a serial entrepreneur with over 2 decades of multi-industry experience and he'll be moderating this session with me today. Thank you, Mr. Maria, and most welcome.
Thank you, Smita ji, for hosting this.
So we will start the question and answer session now. And the very first question is a common question to all the panelists. So we will start with Dr. Hiranandani. So last year was indeed a difficult one, and not only for the real estate, but industries across verticals. There were clouds over many factors such as buyer sentiments, price hike, uncertain economic situation, and so on. Despite of all these, real estate had a strong outlook, and when countries started getting out of the lockdown phase, real estate, especially the residential segment, sort of rebounded and came back shining bright. So many developers got their best sale numbers in the year of pandemic. So how do you summarize the last year, and what are your viewpoints on the market this year? So are we going to see the similar buyer sentiments, sale numbers, and the project launches as well? Your thoughts, please.
Thank you, Smita. I think we've had the worst of the last year, namely the pandemic part of it. And obviously the health and livelihood has been a challenge in all industries, some more, some less. Real estate also had its problems of migrant workers leaving the sites and then going back. And we were certainly challenged and people not able to come to sites. The second half of 2020 certainly saw a sea change, because the work from home, I think, really affected a lot of people when they realized that sometimes the spouse, the husband, two people required to work from home, the children studied from home. All these aspects gave a different color to the residential real estate. Added to that, the interest rates on real estate actually being the lowest that I have seen my entire lifetime. The last interest rates are now 6.65%. is what I have understood, which is the lowest ever. And looking at inflation at close to 5%, the effective rate of interest in reality in the long term is less than 2%, which is probably fantastic. So people borrowing the loan, money for the purposes of buying a house has never had it better. With income tax deduction and affordable housing also having its mainstay, we found that there is a 3% interest subvention in the case of affordable housing. If you package all these things together, and Maharashtra government reducing rates of interest, the stamp duty rate by 3% for 4 months and 2% for 3 months from September 2020 to March 2021. I think all this compounded to people wanting to buy the house, getting more of residential space, upgrading their houses, and all this turned out to be a bonanza for the people who really wanted to make sales. So it has happened. To answer the second part of your question, which is the fact, what is the anticipation for 2021? I think the answer lies in the effectiveness of the government to be able to vaccinate the people. I think India failed in the vaccination drive in the first half of, in the first quarter of 2021. And I think that brought about a strong second wave. Hopefully, with the vaccination now taking off, we will be able to counter that the third wave is not serious enough in order to disrupt the industry. So we do think that the second half of 2021 will see a comeback. Now, the extent of comeback is challenging because people are fearful of what happened in terms of the second round of things, lack of oxygen, lack of beds, lack of medicines, lack of so many things. I think now the government is going to tread more slowly and carefully, but I think that post August, September, you will see a turnaround in the real estate. Whether it will be as strong as last year, only time will tell. But certainly a comeback is definitely expected. Number 3, interest rates are expected to still remain interest rates are expected to remain low. For instance, there's been an announcement recently by Mr. Uday Kotak of Kotak Bank of the fact that he wants to maintain low interest rates, especially in the housing sector. Now, this is unprecedented because up till now, it was the leadership of State Bank and HDFC which brought about lower interest rates. But we now see that Kotak Bank is wanting to even lower the interest rates lower than the SBI and HDFC. So it indicates that a strong message is being sent that real estate lending is going to continue to be strong. A combination of all that indicates to me that residential real estate will spring back. Whether it will be July, August, September, October, one doesn't know. It also depends on whether we can vaccinate people. It depends also on the fact that whether any state government is going to give any other incentive like was done last year by Maharashtra. We have already represented both to the housing ministry at the center as well as the state to take this matter. I think all in all, I do hope that the second half of 2021 will come back in the year. The exact month is something which I don't think I can guesstimate, but hopefully it will happen in some early part of the second half of this year.
Certainly, Doctor, as you said, it is important to vaccinate the people more. That is on high priority, and the government is taking steps towards it. So definitely, we are also expecting a bounce back by the market. So as you said, we can expect in mid of this year. So the same question I would like to ask Mr. Kalpesh Mehta. So what are your views on the last year and the upcoming this year for the real estate? You're on mute, sir.
Sorry. I absolutely second everything Dr. Hindani just said. Last year what it was what it was. We all know. The market came back, especially in Maharashtra, a lot faster than anyone would have anticipated. One can credit the state government with the stamp duty waiver. That kind of, it wasn't the 3 to 4% waiver, I feel, because developers were giving those discounts anyways, but it was a catalyst. My thesis is that there's been a lot of pent-up demand for housing in this country, because it's, for the last 4 or 5 years, it's just the sector has been, hogged by negative news and overall negative sentiment. A lot of buyers were on the sidelines waiting for prices to go down, listening to all the negative news. I think the reduction in stamp duty was just a catalyst, because as Dr. Hirnani said, this is perhaps the best time for buyers to buy homes. Prices have been, prices haven't gone up that much. Real incomes have gone up. Interest rates are at their lowest, time. And just that stamp duty reduction provided this big catalyst, right? As we all know, this is a very sentiment-driven business, and the sentiment all of a sudden turned positive. We didn't see that in other parts of the country as much, as quickly, because there wasn't that catalyst. But certainly other the other cities were catching up, and Jan-Feb sales were starting to go up. So, with that as the macro trend, I remain bullish for housing, long term. We've been down for the last 5-7 years. We started our upward trend, which got interrupted by wave 2 of COVID. No one knows when this thing comes back, but like Niranjan Bhai said, I think sometime in August, September is when we resume the trend that already started, sometime in September, October for Maharashtra, and maybe Jan, Feb, it started in the rest of the country. So I'm quite bullish.
Certainly. Thanks for your answer, sir. The same question I would like to ask Mr. Sriram Mahadevan. So what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with Dr. Hiranandani and Kalpesh. What happened last year was straight out of a Hollywood movie. It's like a horror movie which we are seeing. We were staring at a black hole when the water started, and we never realized that, okay, this virus is going to be so deadly. And we as Indians, we always try to play down issues to start with, and then started realizing, oh God, this national lockdown has been announced, and now everything has gone for everything has shut down. That is when it started seeping in that, okay, fine, this is something which is real, and this is something which is going to stay for some time. And that is when we thought that, okay, we need to do something different. And I think most of the developers adapted to that reality pretty fast. Real estate is a product which people would like to come to the site, see, and then buy. That's what the trend has been, and that's what it would be going forward as well. But nevertheless, most of the developers took advantage of digitizing their business and trying to reach out to the customers as much as possible and trying to show them the site through a walkthrough. So those kind of efforts were on. We ourselves were not pretty sure as to how it will work. The first half obviously was subdued, but the second half really it opened up, and we Indians are by and large very resilient, and we try to be positive, and we see positivity in everything. A little bit of the trends going down, and immediately we start thinking that yes, now we are back in action. And the stock markets also helped. The stock markets did not crash. That's also another positive sentiment which was there. And with the cases coming down, with the peaking coming down, with more or less, and that's the reason for the second wave also. We got overconfident that, okay, we have seen the end of pandemic, and that's how the second wave started. But if I look back, the second half was really very strong for us. We operate in Gurgaon, we operate in Kolkata, we operate in Bombay and Pune. And I think all the markets for us have been pretty good in the second half. And as we speak, the second wave has been pretty strong, and now we have seen the peak behind us, hopefully. At least the cities have seen the peak behind us. And now I think with the vaccination drive, if it picks up, which is a very big if, I think the second half, as Dr. Hiranandani and Kalpesh said, that second half should be a rocker.
Definitely. So we are expecting some good news from the second half of this year, as shared by most of our panelists. The same question goes to Ananta ma'am. Ma'am, how would you summarize the last year, and what your viewpoints on the upcoming year for the real estate?
Thank you for that question, Smita, and a very good evening to our entire audience and my fellow panelists as well. So here we are talking of a story of 5 quarters, Smita. And I think it's been a very good lesson for the industry and also for the country on VUCA. So we have seen volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity at its best. I think I think most of the people on this panel have already put in 30 to 40 years, and are established players, are experienced individuals here, but none of us had ever seen what we had seen in these 5 quarters. So if I was just to break up this problem and then come to what the essence of this thing is, Q1 1920, we were completely lost in the woods, storm, cyclone, whatever you want to call it. But I think it was a complete write-off, the first quarter. The second quarter was very nice because suddenly there was this whole ray of hope. So the inquiries started coming back, specific demand started coming back. With all precautions, people were visiting the sites, the site visits started happening. That was H1 behind us. And of course, business also started coming in, though not as much as what we had planned in our business plans, but yes, it did. H2 turned out to be absolutely brilliant. It was just sunshine and sunflowers and roses, and with very little effort, to be honest with you, a lot of good results were coming. And then, of course, the efforts also got pumped in. Of course, there were great marketing plans, very competitive offerings, and of course, channel partner support. A lot of things happened. But the truth is that in H2, whatever was lost in H1 was completely made up for. And at the end of the year, we were, I think, not only on business plan, we had exceeded business plan. And I would say that not just for ourselves, but I think for a lot of my builder colleagues, developer colleagues. And I think it was very good, and it ended on a very satisfactory note. Now we enter where we are today, Q1 of 2021. So the predictions in all, obviously and rightfully so, was that we will still ride this, positive wave, positive in a good sense, and move forward. And a lot of planning had been done from the learnings of the last financial year. And all of those were to be taken forward in a very good way. But I think, contrary to what most of the people feel, I think, we have only ourselves to blame for becoming so relaxed about this pandemic, which, and knowing fully well what is the damage that it could do to us, and knowing fully well what is it there as far as our infrastructure, our medical facilities, and our country, where we stand with all those things. We let it go, and now I think everybody has suffered in Q1 in every which way, whether it is financially, whether it is emotionally, socially, personally, in every which way. It has hit us hard. I hope we take these lessons forward. Now, what actually came out of all these experiences, the good part is that most people started looking for bigger homes. They were looking for better homes. The youngsters started coming to us also with very specific demands, and a lot of tenants decided to become owners within the same condominiums as well. This whole study from home, work from home concept, and in most households, 3 generations living together, so servant quarter, or a place for a night nurse, or in case somebody gets sick, a place for isolation. So if you had money just lying in the FD, and in your own condominium there was a 2-bedroom available, you will be only too happy to either take it on rent, or to buy it, or to do those type of things, that if somebody gets sick, let's not put everybody at risk, let's just move the person out. It in a condominium you have that huge comfort. Another very interesting thing happened, and this really was very good for us as an organization also, was plots. The way the plotted developments moved, it was amazing in the townships. And we were really taken by surprise. Not only did we have opportunity to sell well, in spite of very little marketing budgets going out, because it was all digital, mostly digital. And of course, all people like you, Remax, with 67 offices across India, and established now for almost 11 years in the country properly, all of you supported us in a big way. And I think we did wonders with our plotted developments. Prices went up, there was scarcity. Not only did the primary market do well, but also the secondary market did very well. Another trend which happened, though we are not in that segment, but when what we have seen around us is the whole high street retail concept again got that energy, that whole SEO thing and all. That got a big boost as well, and a lot of excitement in that segment, which was where a person just felt very comfortable, even if they had to shop there, just get out of your car, pick up what you have to pick and leave, so you are in that safe bubble psychologically with your mask and with your bottle of sanitizer. So those things also work. These were all very interesting trends, and really excited and looking forward as soon as the unlock happens to see where this year takes us. I am very confident that if we could handle last year when we knew nothing, this year we can really do very well, keeping in mind the experience which is already behind us at this point of time. And our teams, on-ground teams, are so well trained. Thank you.
Great. Very well explained by ma'am. In 5 quarters, as you said, we have experienced like we have never experienced before. Like these 5 quarters were like surprising for everyone. And definitely there is a need, the urge of need of our own home has come up with this pandemic situation, and the people are, they want to upgrade their home more. So definitely, I understand we are experiencing the same thing here as well. So over to you, Maria sir. So the next question, please ask.
Thank you, Smita, and welcome all panelists. And I would really start with the viewpoint when last time this happened. That's pretty much the same time we had this session with Dr. Niran Nandani. And I remember his words, what he said about what is going to happen. And we pretty much saw that. But I would have, because also a little bit what we read from Remax operates in 118 countries, and we pretty much saw the same thing everywhere. Everywhere, the second half of the year really became very good for housing. It brought in a natural demand. But I have a different viewpoint for this year. Why I say this? Because while there would be a lot of collective effort to be done to really see that this gets repeated, because last year there was a natural demand which was there, and we just discounted that demand. So everybody who really came out and did any effort, with very little effort also, we were able to get that. And with some kind of a positivity which came from, say, Maharashtra, stamp duty reduction or lower interest rates, all that helped these decision making. But I feel this time around it would be very different, and we cannot generalize the situation. Some markets would do better than other markets. Some locations would do better than other locations. Some projects would do better than the other projects. So all this would start happening now. And we will also have to really see how the job market really comes up. Because now I think we would be in the period where the real economy effects would start happening. You will also see a lot of issues with mid to large corporates when they would have liquidity and cash flow issues. And how this particularly, I'm worried about the last 2 months, because not much is read in the last 2 months, what has really happened in this period. There is not so much media talking, there's not so much of analytics talking, our finance ministry is not so much talking. We don't really know what damage we have actually achieved in this 2 months. How that damage would be handled with proactive approach by government, housing ministry, or state ministries would all depend on that. Look at Maharashtra. Maharashtra is a great example of what they did over some of the other markets. And we saw some markets didn't do well that way. I mean, we didn't see the same kind of energy in Chennai. We didn't see the same energy in Calcutta. While there was some kind of great products being launched there, but didn't see that kind of the same structure. While Hyderabad, Pune, in these markets, we saw a phenomenal amount of growth. So it would all depend on, we cannot, this year particularly, and I would really like Dr. Hiranandani's viewpoint on this, that we cannot generalize the situation. We could really have a multiple effects this year than what we had last year. But let me start with my question to maybe Sriram, you, on the overall aspiration homes. How this market is looking like, especially your brand, which has done extremely well, and we're very proud to partner with you, and we saw great results as being a leading channel partner for you. But what do you see what is happening in that space? How does market will change? Trends would change. New products would come in the market. And what I said on the job market, which is this market is really dependent on that. So you would be have to be very, very conscious where the markets would behave differently. Your viewpoints on this segment?
Yeah, Gaurav, I think so far as India goes, India is a mass market. Let's be very clear about it. So below a particular ticket size, volume comes. What we are noticing and what we noticed last year, and I would hope that this year also the same situation will pan out. The demand for, say, a sub 10 million kind of homes, the mid-income aspirational homes will be there. We are seeing, as Dr. Ananta said, that youngsters who were in Bombay, who were not too much worried about owning a home, they were pretty much okay renting a home. Now with this long hours of working from home, circulation space not being there, the nuclear families, the joint families, they want to break into nuclear families and want to own their own home. So before this particular jolt came in, the kind of momentum which we had seen in our projects, especially in Mumbai, Pune, and Kolkata, is that there was a lot of pent-up demand. Yes, that pent-up demand helped us during the say Q3 of last year, but Q4 of last year, I cannot say that it was only the pent-up demand which was coming back. It was also that people were realizing that yes, owning a home is always a kind of a security, and lockdown and these kind of uncertainties which had played out in front of the customers, they felt that no, this is the time when we should own our own home. Affordability, as everybody knows, that it is at its best point now in India, with the interest rates being low. When liquidity, so far as customers go, it is there. The jobs, initially they felt that they will lose their jobs, and many of the industries did well. Some of the industries did not do well. We are always a sector which gets a lag impact of the GDP. So if the GDP does well, then we do well. So currently, as we see that the projections for the GDP for the current year is 10.5. Now with the current second wave, you can normalize it to somewhere around 9.5, cycling a contraction of 7.5. So to my mind, job creations will keep happening, especially in the IT, ITES sector. and we are operating in the cities where ITES is pretty much predominant, and coupled with customers looking forward to upgrade themselves in terms of moving to a larger home in order to own their first home, with the government incentive of 2.7 lakhs, 75 lakhs, so far as the PMAY scheme, all packaged together. I think the demand for affordable and mid-segment, mid-income kind of a housing will be intact. Yes, there will be short-term pain. Obviously, I cannot say that April and May we have seen good tractions and all those things. Obviously, people, the psychology has changed. People have seen many deaths, many close ones, getting admitted and fighting for their lives. They really have feared the second wave this time, because the second wave has really dented the confidence of that quintessential Indian. But I'm damn sure that we as Indians, we have seen worst of the times, and we have sailed through the worst of the times. And I'm an ever optimistic guy, so we will sail through this also. Yes, there would be hiccups. You will be seeing, the as soon as the vaccination drive picks up and it reaches the tier 2 and tier 3 cities, and we see that the vaccination drives are successful out there. Now, a lot of societies have started vaccinating. A lot of corporates have come forward to vaccinate. Only thing is that we need to get the total number of vaccinations going for us. We are a large country. We cannot compare ourselves with a European country or some other country which might be just equivalent to a Pune population. So it is a big country, and we need to eat the elephant in pieces. So I guess by end of this quarter, the vaccination problem will see some kind of a stability, and we will see some kind of a direction as to how the vaccinations are going. And once the vaccination directions are in the right direction, then you will see the sentiments coming back. And I'm pretty hopeful that from Q3 onwards, people who are fence sitters, they would be even more resolved to buy their own home now, because first wave was not good bad enough. Second wave is worse. So I'm sure that and people don't mind going to the suburbs now, because if most of the officers will be adopting, to my mind, a hybrid kind of a atmosphere, where some days you come to the office, some days you can work from home. So I'm sure people would not mind going to the suburbs, and that's what we have seen in our launch. See, we launched our Manjari project possibly at the worst time, and we launched our Hinjawadi project also when the last year's peak was on, and Pune saw its second lockdown. And we saw good results coming in both the launches. In fact, I was skeptical whether we should go to the market or we should not go to the market. But ultimately, it panned out, because home is something which is not going to the wish to buy a home or the aspiration to own a home will be always there, embedded in an Indian, and it will never go away so fast. So I'm pretty optimistic that we would be seeing good period going forward. But yes, short term there is pain.
Sure. And what would be your three best markets which you would peg on?
Well, obviously Pune has treated us very well. All our launches have done extremely well, and we will be coming up with more projects by the end of the year in Pune. Mumbai, obviously, where we operate from, I'm pretty bullish about the suburbs of Mumbai. Obviously, I don't operate where Hiranandani Bhai operates, but I operate in the outskirts of Mumbai. But I'm pretty bullish over there. And Gurgaon also, I'm pretty bullish, because we have seen good success in Sector 102. And we are looking forward to that Dwarka Expressway has treated us well. So I would believe that Gurgaon, the investors are gone, but the end users are back. So to my mind, I think Gurgaon also I would be betting heavy.
Smita ji, your question.
Yeah. So the next question is to Mr. Kalpesh Mehta. Kalpesh ji, you cater to the ultra luxury market and under the Trump brand and your own developments as well. So you have also had a very successful launch, a luxury project in Pune recently. And so how do you see the growth of luxury real estate segment in this country?
Thanks for that question, Smita. I think luxury has gone through a quite evolution in India. Gone are the days when you can just stick a luxury label on a project and promise Italian marble and 5 fixture bathrooms and things would sell. Just like with other segments of residential real estate, the buyers everywhere have become a lot more aware, a lot more demanding of developers, as they should be. I think the expectations out of a luxury project have gone up dramatically more. Product, various aspects of the product have and sort of the research and detailing on that has become very, very, very important. So I think selling luxury at an early stage is challenging. But if you have something that's a year away from delivery, where you can show a lot of progress and show a lot of detailed out aspects of the product, then that's almost a must now. Having said all of that, I think just like with the rest of residential real estate, demand for for luxury is coming back. As we saw with our Pune launch, you mentioned, the results surprised us. Given given the location, etc., and given our pricing, we were still able to do well, and I think that's testament to the product. A couple other aspects that are interesting from luxury standpoint is that luxury is no longer about just a certain few locations. You could go to locations that are not typically thought of as luxury and think of doing a luxury product there, because there is demand for as work from home increases, and you don't have to be in South Mumbai or Central Mumbai. You could do a luxury project in the suburbs also. So that's another trend. But I think the main message is the importance of product in luxury has gone up dramatically. And if you focus on that, I think demand is extremely strong. You have to service the customer through the various aspects of the sales journey, right from when they first come in until you hand over. But if you do that well, I think the future is strong for luxury. Thank you.
Definitely. Over to you, Maya sir. You're on mute.
Yeah, I'll start with a question to Dr. Hiranandani, and more importantly, his message to a lot of developer community. I spent the last 1 month in talking to a lot of developers, and they are, because of the last 7-8 months, looking at the results, especially in certain markets like Pune, Bangalore, Hyderabad, they are overcommitting themselves in terms of the projects. And some of the results we've seen in even the top names where we run 1090 schemes and 2080 schemes, they were able to bring in a lot of investors which are not end users, especially from Middle East and other places. Now, my worry as a a company which is responsible for home buyers and bringing them in this, would you think that this is overestimate of the market? How the balance of the investor and the end user market looks like? How do you think in next 6-7 months this is going to come up? And do we really think that, because investor market is predominantly based on the price increase, do you really see in the short period or maybe a year to 2 year horizon that kind of increase can come in? First to Dr. Hiranandani, and probably Sriram, you can also put your viewpoint on that.
Gaurav, I want to tell you a story. This came in India Today magazine about 6-7 years ago, and I still remember it. The king of Saudi Arabia was asked, okay, what would be the price of oil 60 days from the date of that interview? And he said that the prices would go up, and they would go up by some $10 per barrel or something like that. I don't remember the figures, but he said it would be a substantial increase in price. Within 60 days of that time, the prices of oil by the monopolist, almost semi-monopolist of oil manufacturing in the world, fell down by $20. And it was probably the sharpest fall which has ever taken place in oil in 60 days. So a person who had monopoly of oil in the world and able to control the supply, etc., also could not predict accurately the thing which is going to happen in the future. Gaurav, so it's difficult to say what is exactly going to happen. 3 things I'd like to point out. Number 1, I don't think real estate people do enough market study. When Hindustan Unilever wants to bring in a soap into the market, they do a huge amount of market study as to what is going to be the consumption pattern, what is the price point they are going to be able to say, and what we need to do. Somehow in the real estate segment, we are not doing enough market study, whether it is the developers, whether it's the consultants, whether it's the various people. I don't make adequate study of the market in order to see what is the kind of product will there. I'll tell you a second story in relation to that. In the year 2019, the number of Mercedes-Benz and BMWs that were manufactured and sold were close to 10,000 in a year. 1 year, 10,000 or 10,500. But in the same year, we had a sale of 1.7 million Maruti cars. Now, if Mercedes-Benz decided that they wanted to manufacture 2 lakh cars, what would happen to the demand and fall and gap of the Mercedes car? So what happens is we are actually not making products which actually the market needs. And if we did what the market actually need in terms of not the investor, Gaurav, as you said, but what the actual final product needs, it doesn't matter whether there is an investor market or an end market which invests, because the market actually needed that end product into the whole segment. So that's the second issue, whatever it is to be done. And the third issue, which is extremely important, is infrastructure. Look at the areas that come for development, whether it is Gurgaon, whether it is Parel, whether it is these areas, where we do huge amount of development, huge amount of new creation that we do. But we don't develop infrastructure pari passu with what development we are doing. So when you don't do that part of it, then you find a reaction in the market because it is not proportionate to what really you need to do. All these are things which are not really predictable in terms of a period of time. But short-term predictions are definitely possible for us to do because we are fully wary and connected with the market, and especially people like you with Remax and other people, Dr. Ananta, Sriram, Kalpesh, all of us actually are fully aware about what the near-term prospects are in terms of what we are trying to bring into the market. And we kind of study that before we put new products into the market. But change is inevitable, and the economical changes like the policies of Maharashtra, the policies of Government of India, policies under Prime Minister Awas Yojana, all those things also will affect the kind of way that we are going to do in the future. So my view personally is that in the near term, if we get vaccination and the economy is going to move back because vaccination has been done, you will certainly see a pickup in demand. Whether that will be accelerated through other moves by the government or what the Reserve Bank of India and other people do in terms of intervention of credit and other things which are possible. Yesterday, I saw an article in the newspaper which said that RBI has actually now issued during last time demonetization, we had 16 lakh crores of rupees of cash. Now we have 28 lakhs of rupees, 28 lakh crores of rupees in cash printed by RBI, in spite of the fact that the Prime Minister wants everything to be done and on online platform. So the future is not so easy. All these predictions that we are trying to talk about must have a study behind it. A prediction can only be if you do some research, something which all our panel members are very good at doing in terms of what they do before they bring products into the market. But there is a herd mentality. If everybody wants to manufacture BMW because BMW has manufactured a BMW and everybody wants to make a Trump Tower like Kalpesh and expect that they will also be able to make sales because Kalpesh has made a sale of a Trump Tower with his brand and other things, then they're going to fall into the gutter, if not into the sea. So we also have to understand that we are actually not doing enough homework in the real estate business and industry in order to carry out it. And hence, many of us, I'm sure, will look forward to companies like yours, which have international affiliations, which can actually provide a little market research as to what we can possibly do in terms of the connectivity that we do. But the answer is, my prediction is that over a period of time, real estate has a good future in the reasonable short period of time. People do want homes. Interest rates are lower. Dr. Ananta also clarified as to how these changes are taking place. I think there is a huge future that we are going to do. Now, whether you do it in the segment, as Shri Ram talked about, in the peripheral areas of low-cost housing, or you take the Shapoorji Pallonji downtown Mumbai, so your other end of the company does the highest end of the thing. So you must understand that his sister company is down in South Mumbai, right in the heart of Central Mumbai, looking at the top end of the market. So you have a lower end which Sri Ram looks after, and the other end of this company, you have the high end of what looked after. Same bosses, same owners, but actually different segments handled by different parts of the company. So all this is going to be a study. You have to study it, do a proper market research, provide enough funds for the purposes of completion of projects. This is also missing, because earlier what used to happen is people used to do booking of what you said, 10%, 90%, and thought that they will get the money for this. But with RERA coming into force, you have to make your see to it that enough funding and financing is over there. Otherwise, you're going to get lots of people and companies go under, irrespective of what you may be so clever in your construction activity. But funding and finances also become extremely important in real estate, which I think we never thought of, because yesterday was different, and today and tomorrow is going to be very different in terms of how we need to do. But future is bright. I am very bullish personally, and I'm looking forward to the next 1 year in a bullish way. And I hope and pray that the government will not fail in the vaccination drive, because that is paramount, which we cannot do, whether we are corporates or hospitals or whatever it is. We rely on the government machinery in order to procure vaccines for the country, delivery of which we will definitely do, including a commitment by NAREDCO to vaccinate every construction worker on our sites, provided we get them quickly. That's the important thing. So great future.
Very good message, sir. I think it's a very good message that the industry needs a lot of business intelligence before we start doing it. And almost every business, other than, I think real estate has not really used that, but we all have to really use a lot of business intelligence to do that. And new products and very focused products have to be brought in. And finally, what you said is that overall, it is all dependent on how we vaccinate and get that. I'll take one more quick question from you, and then because I know you have to leave. So, which is about this investment coming from private equity. And so while we saw a little growth in that, do you think that this year also would see the same kind of investment cycles or increase in that cycle, or what do you see on the private equity side?
Gaurav, you'll be shocked. There's the kind of private equity which has come in this year, whether it's through the REIT process or in other terms in commercial properties, is humongous. And every person in this country is saying commercial will do badly because of work from home. But I've got 10 private equity people saying, we want to invest into commercial real estate. Now, who is correct? Whether the people who are forebearers of saying that commercial is going to go down, are they correct? Or are the private equity people who are asking that we want to invest into commercial in real estate correct? The futures are, let us see, and we will find out who is really going to be correct. As far as growth of the industry business direction is concerned, if the growth of India and GDP grows back to 10% plus, both residential and commercial will grow, provided interest rates remain the way it is in terms of what is availability to the common consumer. The real interest rate is less than 2%. This arbitrage was never there. So what is it? People must borrow and buy a house with an income tax deduction and others. It is up to you and me and all the other members on the panel to actually be able to convince consumers that you need to buy and take it. It's good for you. It is safety for you. As all the panelists talked about and mentioned over there, the work from home and the idea of getting larger homes and quality homes, safer homes, secure homes. This kind of marketing really has to be brought across much, much more effective. It touches the sentiment and heart of the people, especially the woman. And that makes a world of a difference in order to be able to do it. We all talk about the change which has taken place. And the pandemic year is going to be the change where people will invest much more in the future than we are there. So I think investments into the market, a prudent investments into an expansive mode is going to do good for the industry. But you will get some stupid idiot who will follow Kalpesh and try to make a large number of fantastic buildings over there just because Kalpesh has made a profit on that type of housing, and he will go into the river, if not the sea, of failure, because he has not just done any homework and he just thinks he can sell Mercedes-Benz and BMWs because he is some XYZ company which is called infrastructure or builder or whatever it is, added to his name. It doesn't work that way. So it's all about it. And then you work like Shriram in the low cost, or as Ananta is very well doing in her assessment of the marketplace. So you will see a great amount of success in the next 1 year, irrespective of what people may say, but no vaccination, no GDP growth properly by the government in doing these policies. Yes, even real estate and commercial will not do. And the last, investment in residential real estate will grow over there. People predicted stock markets will not get investment, but you have seen how the boom has come. We have to convince investors from worldwide that the future of real estate is good. And if people like Remax are able to market this honestly and make them feel that the future is good into this field, there will be lots of investors. But the demand is going to be high. We as a company are doing huge investments, continuing to do both in the residential, commercial, IT, data centers, and all these things. We are very bullish personally as a company.
Absolutely, sir. So thank you very much for your views.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Smita, over to you for your set of questions.
Yeah, the next question I would like to ask Mr. Kalpesh Mehta. Your brand partner Trump Organization Executive Vice President Donald Trump Jr. just a few weeks back said that they are bullish on the Indian real estate market. And how do you look at this? Do you think the luxury brands or international developers are also looking at the Indian market in the similar way? And we will see such brands coming to India soon.
So two parts to the question and the point you just made. Number one, yes, Trump is very, very bullish on India. I would not necessarily say that means that there's 5 other international developers looking to enter India right now. And let me just explain. The Trump brand has been in India along with Tribeca for the last 9 years, and we've built a great amount of credibility for this partnership. We also had a situation that for the last 4 years, while Mr. Trump was in the presidency, we couldn't do any new projects. The success of our initial projects had created a lot of demand for more Trump branded projects, and we couldn't meet that demand over the last 4 years. So Don's bullish about the prospects of the brand in India, given these reasons. A, the brand did extremely well. As we were just sort of starting to do extremely well, the presidency happened, and we couldn't do more projects for the last 4 years. And now that that window has opened up, the opportunity to do more projects is great. You have to pardon the disturbance in the background. My daughter is falling out. So the demand for an international brand like Trump is strong because it has been around in India for the last 9 years, and we've made the kinds of investments in brand building, in credibility building. So for a new international brand to come in, it's not your first project's never going to be a hit, right? It's not a guaranteed hit. There's a lot of investments that one has to make. And from an international perspective, the Indian real estate market has gone through lots of ups and downs over the last decade. So there isn't this, massive bullishness, of people trying to rush and get in. So the answer to the second part of your question is, whether there's lots of international guys, especially in the luxury space, who are, queuing up to enter India. The answer is, no, which we think creates an opportunity for us, until more players come. There's a lack of international brands in India. There's a lack of true super luxury, and thankfully there aren't too many other players queuing up to get in. So we see it as an opportunity for us. If luxury continues to do well, and as Dr. Hiranand said, if the economy continues to do well, sure, there will be people and capital looking to get in. But as of right now, there is no big rush.
Okay, great. I would like to ask Ananta ma'am, what are your thoughts on the segment of this, such as retail, commercial, and warehousing as well? And do you feel that even the NRI investment have had a very good market last year? So what are the expectations of this year, and any opportunities the NRIs can avail?
Okay, great. So again, there are two questions there, Smita. So the first part, residential, I'm more than confident that it will thrive and do extremely well. Retail may take a while for it to bounce back. High street and that format may bounce back much faster given the circumstances. But eventually we should be on track. As far as commercial is concerned, Smita, commercial has to do well. There is no doubt about that. The work from home concept has worked. We've understood how it works in this scenario, but the business that we are in, this cannot be a permanent solution. So eventually, because that one-on-one contact and connect is very important in our business, and also for a whole lot of other businesses as well. And as you would have noticed in the last 2 years, there's no new commercial space which has got launched. So there will eventually be a situation where you want social distancing even at your workplace when people do start going back. This odd even situation may not continue. There will be a situation where everybody will go back to work and will need socially distanced spaces. And eventually commercial will also be doing well. I'm confident about all three segments. The timing for the other two may be a little longer. And residential, particularly luxury, is not really impacted in that manner, in the manner in which other segments are. So luxury, residential, particularly where it is ready to move and you can see what you're getting. Like on Dwarka Expressway, we saw villas moving. And 7 crores to 12 crores is not small money. I mean, it's a big decision, especially in pandemic times. So that's the first part of it. The second part of it about NRIs, I think it is, Smita, it's such a beautiful question you have asked me. There are friends who have parents here who are so clear that, the whole independent house scenario, totally independent house scenarios that they have in congested cities, whether it is smaller towns or elsewhere, will not work for their parents. They want to move them to capitals and bigger towns, depending on where they stay and where their comfort level lies. International airports are important to them. Proximity from the airport is important to them. That's one of the reasons why Dwarka Expressway also is doing so well. And of course, all of this, the whole NRI story needs a lot of, ease of doing business. It needs the sentiment to be right. There have to be a few policy reform stories which come out, which really work in their favor. It's a whole thing about sectoral growth. So one thing after the other. So if you ask me, is stress there? Yes, not stressed. If you ask me inquiries, yes, a lot of inquiries. And again, like one little thing, in Gurgaon, the FAR increases for plotted development and people are so happy because that much is, in a certain sense, their land cost is discounted by so much. So I think that's also an attractive segment for NRIs who are not looking at immediate return or immediate construction, but have a slightly long-term view on it. So That's broadly what my thoughts on this are. So thanks for that question, Smita.
Yeah, the same question goes to Mr. Kalpesh. So what are your thoughts on the other segments of real estate like retail, commercial and warehousing? And of course, the second question followed by that, the NRI investments. So what do you think? So this year also like they will have a good share? You're on mute, sir.
Sorry, multiple parts to your question.
I'm just hurrying up due to short of time.
Sure. As a disclaimer, we're not experts in retail, commercial, or logistics and warehousing. So my views are that of a residential developer, not really an expert. Retail, the global story is, in the West, big box retail is kind of dead. What's doing well is highly focused experiential retail. In India, we're seeing a big surge of high street retail, and we have a large, retail portion in our Pune project. India is sort of not following the global trend in that regards. I don't know how long that lasts. I truly don't. Office again is a big question mark. The vast majority of lay people and industry people as well think the office story has a big question mark on it. But as Dr. Nani said, the global capital seems to have a different perspective. I don't know. Warehousing seems to be doing quite well, which just makes sense. With the rise of e-commerce, etc. I think that will continue to do well. How the supply-demand cycle plays out if there's an oversupply of capital and space, one would have to see. And I think that the other trend, the other segment, I think, which will do really well is sort of second homes and independent homes, whether sort of, they're independent houses within cities or at the outskirts of cities, but not only that, but also second homes. With work from home getting sort of more mainstream, people have realized that they can, not be in the office, 5 days a week, 6 days a week. So I think there's going to be a big establishment of this segment, whether it is, whether you call it second homes or larger homes on peripheral parts of the cities. So I know you're short of time, so I'll keep it at that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. The next question I would like to ask Mr. Sriram. So looking at the current market scenario where the home loan rates are all-time low and many other benefits, and is this a correct time for a home buying? So what are your suggestions to the first home buyer?
Smita, I think it's a no-brainer. I think there couldn't have been a better time than this. As everybody knows, the interest rates are at an all-time low. I personally also, if Dr. Hiranandani has not seen such low rates of interest, then I would certainly not have seen. These kind of 6.3, 6.4 kind of home loan rates are not going to be seen in future. The market share is shifting towards branded developers, I would say, to more organized developers. So customers who are looking for first home, who want to actually look forward to their investment being safe, they should look forward to organized players who have a track record of obviously delivering. Certainly, RERA implementation has helped the cause, because gone are those days when lack of efficiency was being rewarded. Now developers have to be efficient. Developers have to deliver on time. So customers would get the guarantee from an organized developer that the process will be followed. The project management would be to the T. The products will be delivered on time. The products will follow certain standards of quality. And obviously the home loan rates and the Prime Minister Awas Yojana schemes, etc., would help them to bring down the overall ticket size within which they would like to operate. So overall, I think the atmosphere is good for anybody who's looking for a first home to buy. I think there couldn't have been a better time than this. They need to be little bent, and as Ananta said, we are also noticing that ready to move in properties are getting a lot of traction, because they would like to see the property. If something is ready today as we speak, then they are going for that. We have seen it in our projects. We have a couple of projects where we have handed over a couple of projects which are in different project life cycle. So we have seen traction for ready to move in properties. But so far as under construction properties go, and what we are seeing very clearly is there is a shift towards organized developers as we speak, and that is going to only gain steam as we go forward. Because at this point of time, people would not have that appetite to take risk of investing in developments which may or may not see the light at the end of the day. My suggestion would be that if you are investing in stock market for the first time, just invest in blue chip stocks. Don't worry. Try to invest in mid caps and small caps and try to make fast buck out of it.
That's a good thought.
Very good thought.
And that creates a differentiation in your brand with a lot of other brands which are possible.
Yeah. That is going to stay.
That can be a good pitch for Remax to really use.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Definitely. So Dr. Ananta, how important is the developer brand and amenities and social infrastructure within the project, and whether this should be an important aspect of decision making? If you could guide some home buyers on this. So is it required for someone has to go for a branded one only, and the kind of the questions are coming up in the mind for the home buyers as well, the position and it may get delay or what? So what are your thoughts on this?
Okay, so Smita, first and foremost, we are restricting our decision and discussion to this particular year, right? Now, if we are talking about this particular year, we are at war. We are at war with a virus, right? And in this war between the virus and reality has to win. Okay, so if reality has to win, then exactly the way Dr. Hiranandani ji said, that we have to understand consumer behavior. Okay, at a psychological level, every individual wants to have control of his life, and that control has been taken away from him. So at least when he's looking for a home, if all the boxes are ticked, and today those boxes are really not swimming pool, so it's not pool view at all anymore, right? So when a person has a new set of boxes, the insights into what are his or her concern areas, all attached toilets are very necessary in today's times. The rooms could be smaller, but the congregating spaces have to be clearer, more balconies, more green spaces, places to add plants. For the pets, there are certain requirements. So you have to really study and understand in that micro market what is required, right? I have never been one for a bigger player, branded residence, this is required, that is required, not at all. The meaning of luxury and the meaning of a home or a house or a residence changes in every micro market. What is luxury somewhere else is not luxury somewhere else. I think Gauravji has written so many books on it, and I would request him, when all this is behind us, he must write all of this, because he's a repository of information. But today, the meaning of luxury is very different. For one person, luxury is I'm buying an electric car. I'm concerned about the environment. I don't want, bad smoke going into my kids and grandkids and everything. Charging points chahiye humko. For another person, there's nothing bigger than a jacuzzi, because people are scared to go to spas. You're not going to parlors. You're going nowhere else. I mean, where are you pampering yourself? Massage ghar pe bhi nahi aap bula sakte kisi ko. So for that person, that jacuzzi, a big jacuzzi, a nice jacuzzi is everything. So understand in your micro market, what is bothering your buyer, what is his psychographic, what is his demographic, what is he willing to pay for that, and how can. So there is no more one size fits all. One size fits one only. So analyze the people who have bought from you in the last 1 year, analyze all the leads which are coming to you. Doesn't matter, spend that extra time, have those questionnaires ready, understand all of that, and then give them something that they need. Wherever you are doing a new development, where it is ready to move also, you need to listen more and talk less in today's times. And we are all trying to learn that, because we are so used to whether a channel partner is sitting in front of us or a buyer is sitting in front of us. We always, as reality people, we assume हमने इन्हें बताना है, ज्यादा से ज्यादा ज्ञान देना है, हमने इनको सिखाना है. आज वो नहीं, आपको कुछ नहीं सिखाना है, आप खुद जाके सीखो. आप डिजिटल मार्केटिंग के कोर्सेज करो, आप हाउ टू बी अ गुड लिसनर के कोर्सेज करो, आपने सीखना. आप डेटा इज द न्यू ऑयल, आप वो सब सीखो, पर इनका आप सुनो और फिर उस पे आप एक्ट करो. क्योंकि जहां आपने सुना नहीं, वहां प्रॉब्लम है. आपकी किसी के लिए लग्जरी यही है कि हाँ, अपनी एम्बुलेंस खड़ी हुई है हर टाइम, अपने RWA ने ऑक्सीजन सिलेंडर्स लाके रख दिए हैं, अपनी जो हमारे फैसिलिटीज टीम है, उन्होंने ये कॉन्सेंट्रेटर्स यूज करने सीख लिए हैं. You never know what it is for whom. Lifts में, nobody has to touch. There's a man with gloves, he's doing it. Whatever it is, there's a cost to everything. But understand the cost benefit analysis and the need, and then provide what your buyer needs, what your resident needs. Word of mouth is the most important thing. They are going to bring you the new people. And what your channels need, more important, what do the channels need? वो दूसरे businesses में लग गए, interiors के business में लग गए, backward integration हो गया, forward integration हो गया. Where will you be left with then? So all those things are very critical at this point of time. And I think we have to forget everything we have done in the past and join kindergarten today and be a very good student. And if we are a good student, only then we will pass with distinction. And masses necessary karo, sab kuch necessary ko. Be strict in your areas, whether everywhere, be very strict with wherever safety and lives are concerned. That has to happen. That has to happen. And from there on, I'm very confident that we will come out winners. This industry has always had shake-ups, wake-ups. It has always had the maximum number of changes as compared to any other industry. And we have always emerged winners, and we will do the same this time also. But this time we have to hold each other's hand virtually and then move forward. So, it's wonderful that you took this initiative of putting us together. But for some organizations, agar chote bhi hai, to kya farak padta hai? In their area, in their micro market, they may be leaders. Like, we, in the middle of the pandemic, Smita, I launched a product called Experio in the heart of Lucknow, commercial project. Everybody discouraged me. We did crazy sales. We are the market leaders there, Vibhuti Khand. So I was so confident about the location. I was so confident about my channels. I was so confident about my teams. And I had the full backing and support of my promoters and my board. I said, nahi, theek hai, fir hum tiyar hai, to fir nikal dete hain. Why should we delay something which is ready to be served? So let's serve it and see so thoda sa wo bhi karne ki zarurat hai. Pushback hote ja rahe, launches sab kuch hote ja rahe, itna bhi darne ki zarurat nahi hai, lekin achhi tarah se kare. Jo bhi kare, achhi tarah se kare. Sharpening of the axe is very critical at this time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Very well said. I think it's also your conviction on the particular product which needs to be done, and if a well thought process is done, then I think the results are good. And we saw in Remax also, wherever the product was well backed and well researched, results was phenomenal. And it's just not averaging out the overall thing. It's a piece by piece, location by location, product by product kind of a market. So I'll take one last question, and because then everybody is just running late in this. And this is more coming from Remax, because we are a channel partner on leading company, and we always take pride in terms of that we are the best in terms of the consumer experience. But I really want to understand from you, what is your expectation from a good channel partner? And it can be very different, because when you are say a value housing, then you're looking for a time and speed. You want somebody to build larger distribution, faster reach, and so on and so forth. But when you're doing, which Dr. Nanda and Kalpesh would do, is luxury, you need different kind of experience. You need a very different experience to be done. So what is your expectation, and how do you think that whole channel partner thing is changing and where is the industry going? Because there's a large community of realtors, and I see a lot of a pain also, and I see opportunities also in the sector. But what is your viewpoint on that? Anybody can start. You can start, Sriram, first, and then Dr. Nanta, and then Kalpesh.
Thanks, Gaurav, for that question. I think channel partners are inseparable from the developers, right? And you see, channel partners are they are very close to the customers. They in their micro market, they know the customer sentiment. As Dr. Nandani said, that we real estate. I come from an FMCG telecom kind of a background where too many researches used to happen before we used to go to the market. If you want to, go to the market with a new product, then you sample it out and see also. But obviously, in real estate, that's not possible. But too much research used to happen over there. But in real estate, somehow the research is very superficial. It's a kind of a Me Too kind of an approach, which I see most of the times. And that is where I feel that the developers team and the channel partners team, they have to have their eyes, ears, everything firmly on the ground, and they need to understand the customer psyche pretty well as to where is the customer need coming from, what exactly the customers are looking forward to. And that is where I fall back upon channel partners. Whenever I go to a new market, I try to see that what the channel partners in that market are saying as to what the customers want, what are the needs of that customer in that micro market. And accordingly, like our Manjari project, if you remember, Gaurav, we met you guys and we took inputs from you as to what exactly is the gap in that market. And that accordingly we designed the product, and look what the kind of sales that we achieved over there. We almost sold 1,000 units in 2-3 months. Unheard of kind of figures during the lockdown kind of a scenario. So I think channel partners play a huge role in providing us the market research which we desire. There are various reports which keep coming from here and there, but those who work on the field, those who meet the customers on a day-to-day basis, those who interact with the customers on a day-to-day basis, they are the guys who are going to provide you with the right kind of inputs as to what exactly one should come forward with. If the product is wrong, then obviously that project is not going to do well. And there's no point of again reinventing the product halfway through, and then you are trying to flog a dead horse. Your first launch is not going to do well, then obviously it will leave a very bad taste in that micro market for the customers. And then it becomes very difficult to turn around that particular project. So to my mind, channel partners are the eyes and ears for the developers. Developers have to work very closely with channel partners. Channel partners also in their, if you ask me the question that what do I expect from a channel partner, what I would expect from a channel partner is that you have to understand the customer psyche well and make the customer understand, because they see you as a subject matter expert. When you sit with the customer, and talk like a subject matter expert, then they will hear you as a subject matter expert. What typically I've noticed is that, especially in the value segment, what I've noticed is that most of the channel partners, मेरे को payment scheme दे दो, 1090 दे दो, 2080 दे दो, price बढ़ा दो, मैं volume लेके आऊँगा. That doesn't work, because at the end of the day, liquidity is needed for the project to sail through. And under these current circumstances where radar deadlines have to be met, the developer has to have that liquidity. Otherwise, what's the point of selling those units if you can't develop? So I think we have to make the customers also understand why, if you don't have a liquidity problem at your end, then why would you like a subvention scheme? You would rather go in for a product which meets your requirement and buy at a price which is lower than your payment plan kind of a price. So those are the things which the channel partners have to educate the customers on. They have to educate the customers on the micro location where the project is getting launched, as to how the infrastructure is going to get developed over there, because they have all the informations. And they are seeing many developments in that micro location. So they are the best judge. And if they're really being good for the customer who is sitting in front of them, then they will recommend the product, what they feel is best suited for that customer. And that is what I would like at least leaders like Remax, etc., to actually live by that and practice that on a day-to-day basis.
Thank you, Dr. Ananda.
Yes. So, Gauravji, you do know that the first assignment given to me way back in June 91, when I entered real estate, was to handle channels.
Absolutely.
I just joined DLF at that time, straight out of college. And the first assignment given to me was to handle channels. What my learning has been, and channels, I think lifelong has always been my biggest strength as an individual, and whichever organizations I have been to there as well. First and foremost, we have to forget that the channel and the developer are two different boxes. The minute you become one, and both are on the same side of the table, and then you are approaching the customer, all the creases get ironed out. So that is one thing that I strongly believe in. The channels also have to feel that they are not carrying a developer's brand, they are part of that whole story. And similarly, the builders and developers also have to give that due and respect to the channels. That's very important. Small little things like just one idea on a layout about why don't you just tilt your building a little bit and there'll be more sunlight and there'll be a little more breeze because some Vastu guy told something to this thing. It helps everybody, but you'll know it only if you're listening. Otherwise, once you hit the market, you've got your RERA approvals, you cannot do anything. Similarly, in retail malls, I remember sitting at Renaissance with you, and of course, our architect was also there, and the layout was spread, and there was an anchor store which had flown in from Dubai and something like that, and we were getting late for some session at that time, and they said, instead of the entrance here, why don't you move the entrance there? And then there was this discussion between the channel, the tenant, and the architect, and I'm there, and somehow you have to kind of get everybody on the same page, and ultimately always with the channel, because not only that one store went, 25 within one evening, and in 4 hours stores were gone, they were leased out. So you have to just forget, you have to think, this is my best advisor, trust their judgment, have faith in them. Of course, you can verify with your own teams as well. You have to do that. As leadership, you have to do that. Also, stop sitting in that corner office where people are so scared to approach you. Everybody needs to be a little more approachable, a little more, people have to be comfortable with you. In most cases, the leaders are quite unapproachable and inaccessible, because of which very important information just gets left out. So I think those things are very critical. Visit your sites, go and talk to them. Channels are the ones who are going to get you your business. Direct leads can come, but the business will happen only if the local channels are with you. Otherwise, you will get lost to competition.
Absolutely. Very well said. Kalpesh, your viewpoint?
I will summarize, a lot of the great things that have already been said. Look, this industry doesn't exist without the channel partner community, right? I see the channel partners playing the role of a trusted advisor, not just to the developers, but also to the buyers. In the various markets we're present in, we deal with 1,000+ channel partners, and I have frankly learned more from these channel partners on various aspects of product design or marketing or sales or customer psyche than I could have learned from any of my developer friends or from my MBA. It is, you guys are just so close to the customer in a way that developers can rarely get, and you guys have such an incredible view of the overall market, right? As a developer, you're looking at the market from the perspective of your one project. The channel partner community is looking at what's happening in the entire market. So the information that you guys have is the channel community has is much better than what a developer could potentially have. So we use our channel partners right from the design stage on what makes sense and what doesn't, to marketing strategies, and obviously selling. But beyond selling comes the entire customer handling bit, till the delivery stage. And without the channel community and their tight integration with the developer team, right? We spend a lot of time and money on making this seamless for those channel partners who are able and willing. We invest a lot of time and money in getting them educated on our product, on our strengths and weaknesses, of the project, of the company, so that they're able to better communicate that with the customer, manage those expectations, not just drive the sale, but do justice by both sides, right? As the market evolves, the fly-by-night developers, will have no place. It's going to be credible people selling to real buyers, and without the channel community, playing this, broker of information, not of assets, right? There's this transmitter of real information between parties. Things would be very, very difficult. So thank you to our entire channel community and to Remax for everything that you guys do. Without the channel community, developers are nowhere, and the buyers also, I'm sure, bless you on an everyday basis.
Absolutely, and very well said. And I think the endeavor at Remax is that we continue to bring the experience up for the home buyers, and more importantly, what is my own personal mission in when I took over Remax is to really bring in better talent in the whole industry, and that's why we are encouraging, like Smita is a great example herself, being a women entrepreneur and leading her office. So that's a good example, and that's what I'm encouraging. I'm saying why we don't see more women in the business, why we don't see, and Dr. Ananta herself is a icon figure in the space, and she's led real estate and leadership positions in different levels, and should inspire a lot of other women entrepreneurs should also come in and take different positions in the real estate industry. They are much better, I would say, sometimes than we men in terms of their service and understanding of this market. So that's what our endeavor is. Over to Smita for your concluding notes and thank you note if you want to give it to panelists.
Yeah, sure. Thanks a lot. Thank you, everyone. I would like to thank Dr. Hiranandani, Mr. Mehta, Dr. Ananta, Mr. Mahadevan, and Mr. Maria for your valuable time and we've shared here today. All the insightful thoughts and the analysis will definitely guide us towards the further course. And we thank you for taking you the time to join us and managing your busy schedule. Also, I thank you all the attendees who have joined us from the various parts of the world. I want to thank each one of you for your commitment and enthusiasm, and we really appreciate your support a lot. Please stay safe, wear masks, and take all precautions. Have a very good evening. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Smita. Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you, all the panelists. Thank you.
So much. Stay safe, everybody, and let's sell.
Absolutely.
Let's sell and let's sell.
Yeah. Thank you.
See you guys. Bye.